Okay, everybody. Hello, hello. This week's class is gonna be a little different. And let's see. Yeah, okay. So I want to take you through a couple movements. The first movement is going to be the human X. And if you haven't seen it before, I'll show it to you now. So go ahead and lie on your back. And um, so if I was above you taking a photograph, go ahead and put yourself into a human X. So your arms are in the upper form of the X, and the legs are the lower form of the X. Okay. And just for a moment, allow the breath to flow. So pay attention to the breath here. Notice where it's occupying the body. Okay. So now the body's breathing, and just I want you to observe where it's filling the body. Where does it where does it fill the body, and where does it make contact with the ground? Okay, so as you start noticing where your breath is filling your body, go ahead and bring your attention to the back of your head in this position. Feel your shoulders making contact with the ground. Notice which parts of the shoulders are making contact with the ground. Okay, does it feel stiff? Does it feel sore? Does it feel relaxed? Does it feel stiff, chunky? Okay, just notice. You're not changing anything here, you're just noticing. And then bring your awareness down to the mid back. Feel which parts of the mid back are making contact with the ground, and then go to the hips and then feel which part of the hips are making contact with the ground. Left side, right side. And then just trace your body down all the way to the heels, noticing which part of the legs are making contact with the ground. Okay, and again, you're in the human X. And from here, I'd like you to slowly reach your left leg away from you. So slide that left leg away about an inch or two. And as you do that, the right hip will come up a little bit towards the right shoulder. Okay, and then relax the left leg and hip back to neutral. And then slide and reach that right leg out a couple inches. And then see how you can feel that left hip slide naturally towards your left shoulder, right? And then relax that to neutral. And then do that a couple times each side. So reaching one side, notice how the other side wants to um, do the opposite action. One reaches, the other one contracts and shortens, and then vice versa. So see if you can make a nice, smooth, sliding, gliding, reaching forward, retracting, reaching, excuse me, outward, and then retracting. Okay, so this is one form of the hip hiker movement. You're accessing these muscles just above the hip crest, between the hip crest and the lower ribs. We want to make sure these guys aren't, or gals, aren't stiff, that they're active. Now, if you're going into the contraction and there's tightness and soreness in there, you'll feel it. And so just pay attention to it, but don't overdo it. Okay. So we're pendiculating in this way. Keep going, obviously. We're pendiculating and reaching, contracting and relaxing. So I want you to not only are reaching the legs and then bringing them back to neutral, I want you to feel those muscles engaging and feel your ability as you reach to notice that you're also relaxed. You're relaxing those muscles in order for the legs to reach, and then you're shortening them for the in order for the hips to contract and slide up towards the opposite shoulder. Does that make sense? So you're reaching, you're doing a hip hiker with legs reached in X position, basically, to access the QLs. Then you're also getting a little, if you continue doing this, you're also getting a little bit of connection to traction. So you're tractioning the hip, and you're just, lengthening the joints a little bit too. Okay, good. Now pause there after that movement. And what I said a couple, and we did probably about 10, 10 or 15. These sessions are going to be training sessions. Okay. So So good. So that's that lower half of the X. Next movement's going to be the same thing, but with the arms. So I want you to keep the hips relaxed, and I want you to just reach that right arm. So it's a small movement. I want you to reach the right arm in that X position away from your body, and then relax it back to neutral, and then switch sides. Reach that left hand away from the body and then back to neutral. And see how, as you do that, keep going nice and slow and smooth, okay? And notice how when one arm reaches, the other part of the body makes an adjustment. So in this case, if you're reaching, let's say you're reaching that left arm away, the right shoulder drops down a little bit. Okay. Now, if you accentuate this, there's muscles that will pull the shoulder down underneath on the sides. So the upper sides of the trunk are going to be contracting a little bit in order to slide to bring that shoulder and arm back to neutral. Okay, so you're lengthening your sides here. As you're lengthening and contracting the sides of the trunk while simultaneously reaching the shoulders. Okay. And if this is uncomfortable at any point in time, just a reminder, we don't want pain in these movements. This is not more pain, more gain. If there's pain, then back off. And then we can talk about why you're in pain. But these muscles are designed to, at the most, connect you to soreness, which are already in the muscles, in order to then unravel the soreness over time. Okay. All right, do a couple more with the arms. And another reminder to keep the eyes closed during your practice. It'll help you feel you're gonna get maximum results in releasing hypertension in the muscles when you can feel your ability to contract and relax them, which is what wild mammals will do first, and then they stretch and reach. We're only taught to stretch in PE, but so this is something we don't do naturally. We have to learn how to do it. Pandiculation for our functional anatomy, functional muscle groups. Okay, so now we're going to combine the two halves. All right, so first of all, pause there, relax in neutral. And you've already done some work. You've contracted and relaxed. After one contraction and relaxation of a muscle group, after a felt contraction and relaxation, there's going to be a change in the tissue. If you have years of tension built up, it's incremental, but maybe you can feel it. But the more you do it, the more you unwind. The more you do it regularly, the more you unwind. Okay. And way to go for slowing down, because I was thinking today, it's hard for us to just stop and slow down and see the value of it. It's so unproductive. But boy, when we're in pain, we definitely are willing to get on the floor and do some gentle movements and make some changes. So good. Okay, so you've done the upper and the lower. You might feel like there's some shifts. You might not notice much, no problem. But I'll just say too, real quick, when you're pendiculating the muscles, you're releasing energy that's being taken up in tensing habitually. If you're just lying there, and so the muscles should be relaxed. But if they're not, you have a habit pattern of tensing that's so out of balance that that the energy is stuck in there. So we're freeing up energy that should be circulating, that wants to be circulating freely through the body, which is a huge benefit to us feeling like we have more energy. Exhaustion is one big byproduct of hypertension in the muscles, chronic exhaustion, which we think was aging, which often is just tense muscles, energy stuck in the muscular system. Okay, so you might feel energy start moving around too. You might just feel like tingling and buzzing. Okay, so all right, now let's combine two. So to both halves. So I want you to slowly slide that right leg. Again, you're in the human X position. Slide that right leg away from you, and then you'll notice that left hip comes up towards the left shoulder, okay? Now feel that left lower quadratus lumborum in that lower left side. And now simultaneously, I'd like you to reach with your right arm. So you reach your right arm away. So your left side reaches, your right leg reaches away from you, your right arm reaches away from you, sliding along the floor. And notice how that left side is going to collapse towards itself. So the left hip and the left shoulder come a little bit closer towards each other. See if you can feel that contraction. That's a contraction of the side of the left side of the trunk. And then release and relax the right side to neutral. So let the right shoulder and right hip come to neutral. And then let the left side kind of open back up. And then we're going to slowly switch sides. So I want you to reach with that left leg and then reach with that left arm. And so the left side is lengthening, and the right shoulder and the right hip are coming up towards each other. And I want you to feel the muscles contracting. So I want you to start to accentuate that contraction too. I want you to connect with your ability to actually contract that side. A little bit, just incremental movement, small, but just enough for you to feel, I can feel these muscles tightening and that I'm doing that. And then slowly relax the lengthening and reaching on the left side, let it come back to neutral, right? And then let that right side come back open. Okay. So go back and forth like that and go slow, eyes closed, and one side reaches and the other side shortens. And this is again, functionally, we're addressing the muscle groups in the sides of the trunk, which is going to make more space for the lungs to expand, for the breath to fill, so more oxygen. And you're also going to just make more space for the kidneys, organs of elimination, and also more space for the spine. When the muscles of the sides of the trunk are contracted, guess what else is compressed? The spine. So contract and relax the sides with this movement, and it'll help open up the spine as well. When the muscles are tight, the bones are compressed, the nervous system gets pinched off, we lose energy in hypertension. This is one good movement to access quite a lot. Okay. So you're exploring here. If you do it every day, maybe 2 or 3 each side, right? But I want you in these training sessions to have just the experience of training. Okay. And enjoying your body, you're getting into your body. Okay, good. Okay, pause there in neutral. Okay, pause there in neutral and bring your arms by your side and bring your legs in together. Okay, so you're in just classic Shavasana position, which is yoga. It's just death pose where you're just lying there doing nothing, letting your body breathe. Okay. Notice, just spend a few breath cycles here. So your body's breathing in and out. Allow that to happen and notice what changes. Maybe you feel like longer. Maybe you feel some energy tingling. Maybe you don't feel anything. Maybe you feel more space to breathe. Maybe you just feel like less heavy, less tense. Just see if you can notice how that affected your feeling for a moment. And it should feel good when we're doing that human X. It should feel relaxed and smooth and not overdone. We're getting a lot of benefit by just kind of contracting and relaxing. A lot of benefit there. So again, you're getting benefit from feeling your ability to tense and relax. And it doesn't take a lot in order to make changes. It's not like you have to, I'm tightened so much, now I can feel the release. The body really responds to a light amount of contraction, which is cool. Okay, so good. All right, great. So I wanted to show you that human X, and that's a pandiculation of the sides of the body, one way to access the muscle groups at the side of the body. And it also integrating some reaching, lengthening too. I don't discourage stretching. I'm a yoga teacher. Yoga stretching is awesome, but no one knows pandiculation, functional pandiculation, and it bypasses the stretch reflex, which is great because we can get deeper into the belly of the muscle and make a bigger difference. And then we can also stretch out the fascia and the muscles too. But secondary, and that's what wild mammals do. They'll pandiculate their functional muscle groups first, and then they'll stretch and lengthen and reach. So we want to mimic the wild physiology for optimal results in flexibility, less stiffness, and less muscular pain. So here we are. Foundation one, pandiculation. And then you go stretch and reach. All right, good. So that's pandiculation for the sides of the body with some reaching. Well done. Now, let's go ahead and shift gears a little bit. Let's go ahead and bring your knees up and the bottoms of the feet on the ground. If you're on a mat, let's just say your feet are about 8 inches from each other, about hip width. We make it comfortable. So your knees are up, base of the feet on the ground and on your mat, and bring your arms by your side at about 45 degrees at the armpit, and your head's relaxed there, and your shoulders are relaxed. So we call that neutral, like neutral position. We do most of our movements from this place. So relax there for a moment. Feel yourself in this position for a moment. And then what I'd like you to do is to slowly, very slowly, with eyes closed, I want you to bring the head up towards the ceiling about an inch or two until you can feel muscles tightening to pull your bones and physiology up towards the ceiling. When you can feel those muscles tightening, then just slowly relax the muscles and allow the head to fall completely relaxed. Okay. Now, if you again, you're not straining to feel. I just want you to capture the slightest feeling that the muscles are tensing in order to make this happen. And then that's going to biomechanically create a release of tension. If the neck muscles in the front of the jaw are at 60% tensing all the time because you're at the computer or you had an injury and you're chronically head forward. Um, so let's say it's 70% tension all the time, even when you're in bed, lying down, trying to go to sleep. In order to change that percentage, we're going to go into it a little bit more. So you go to 75 degrees contraction until you can feel it. And then you can relax it down, and then that'll take it down to 68, 67, 65, 60. So it's like lifting the parking brake up in order to release it. And that's the principle of pandiculation. We release by going into first and then feeling it, and then there's a release. Okay, so let's do this just a couple more times, nice and slow. It's an exercise to get you aware of this pandiculation, and it's subtle. So focus on even doing less, like lifting it about half an inch, lifting the head about an inch or half an inch, and then slowly relaxing the muscles to allow the head to fall and completely relax. In between each pandiculation, I recommend taking your breath cycle to maximize the benefits of your effort. Because after one, contract and relax, you're going to have a physiological response that releases tension, right? Now, do that again and then go even a little bit further with the chin moving towards the center of the body, towards the chest. Okay. And then see if you notice some more feeling there. And then slowly bring the head back down. All right. Good. So you might even notice after a breath cycle, doing that a few times, that the neck muscles feel a little more relaxed, and it's easier for your head to make contact with the ground. Like it's less strain, more length, more space. That's going to be good. It'll help the cervical vertebrae, your upper spine. It'll help those vertebrae be less compressed. When the muscles in the neck are super tight, that'll aid in compression of the vertebrae. It's going to pinch off the nervous system, which Dr. Paul Bragg called the energy system. The nervous system provides the energy to the body. Nerve force, he called it, nerve force. So we want to have optimal nerve flow, optimal nerve force. So great. Okay. So on that note, go ahead and your arms are stable at 45, maybe 65 degrees. We'll eventually get it to 90. In fact, bring your arms to 90 degrees. So your armpits are at about 85, 90 degrees. Okay. And I want you to slowly rotate your head to the left and then slowly bring the head back to neutral. And then slowly bring your head back to the right side, over to the right side. And then slowly back to neutral. So see how smooth and slow you can make this right and left. Okay. And you might notice some clicking, some clacking if there's a considerable amount of hypertension in the neck muscles. Maybe you just, whatever you're feeling, just stick with it if it's not painful. And I want you to start to be aware of there are muscles tightening in order to move your head to one side. They're shortening. And then the opposite side has to lengthen. Okay. And then as you move the head to the other direction, the the other side's going to have to tighten a little bit. So there's muscles shortening, contracting, and then relaxing. They have to relax in order for the head to go to the other side. So we move our head all the time, but we're not aware of how we're not aware of the feeling of that movement as much as we could be. So this is another exercise to train our mind and subtlety so that we can start to have more motor control, which will aid us, which is actually the key to releasing hypertension on our own with these movements. Okay, so this kind of subtle muscle motor control training is good. So you might not feel much, but bring your awareness to these muscle groups in this movement, left and right, and see if you can notice something. Just putting your awareness on it will start to open up it's like a wind. Putting your awareness on it is like opening a window into feeling it, opening a door into feeling what's going on there. Okay. All right, good. Then pause at neutral and allow a few breath cycles, just relax there. And so there's a pendiculation happening. Even if you're not feeling it, it is still happening. Now, something's interesting. If you want to get more feeling as you're lying here, just lie here and breathe. But as you're an exercise you could do potentially is press your head and give your head a little pressure as you rotate the head to the right. Press in with your right hand a little bit to give it a little bit of resistance, and then you'll help you feel the tightening of that right neck, right? And then you can relax it. And I do this with the jaw to help people get out of jaw TMJ. But you can play with that too to help give yourself a little resistance to help you feel the engagement of those muscles with a little resistance as you move head left and right. Okay, just something to think about during your day. You can practice that, play with it. Okay, good. So again, there's muscles in between the vertebrae along the spine that are also contracting and relaxing, that are rotating the spine. This muscles are moving the spine. So all those little muscles along the vertebrae are also contracting and relaxing. Could we feel those? Now that's some inner awareness that we're not used to. But the more inside of our body we can be as we engage with the outside world, the more freedom we're going to feel in our body, in the movement, um, as it pertains to the ability to be free of stored hypertension with these movements specifically. Okay, good. Now let's move to the next piece of this. So go ahead and in this position, your arms that are about 90 degrees, I want you to rotate your right palm open towards the ceiling or sky, and then left palm down towards the ceiling or sky. And we touched on this last week too, but I'm going to slow this one down a little bit. This is good. So, well, we're going to review the same movements often. Um, each class we're going to go, we run through these because we need to learn how to do them thoroughly, and then we need to practice them consistently, even though they can be considered boring. It's just functional basic mechanics. Okay, here we go. I know I'm talking a lot. Okay, good. Now let's go ahead and again, your right palm is open, left palm down. So in this position, notice your shoulders. Okay, so your left shoulder is going to be rotated slightly up towards the ceiling relative to your right shoulder, which is going to be slightly pressed into the ground. And that's as a consequence of your palms being open. Okay. So if you switch sides, right palm down, left palm open, the shoulder moves as well, because guess what? The hand and the shoulder are connected by the arm. So what I want you to do is be aware of the fact that as you rotate your palm open and close, like towards the ceiling and down towards the floor, the shoulder blade is sliding up slightly um, towards the head, towards the upper part of the shoulder, and then as the palm goes down, up, facing the ceiling, the scapula shoulder blade will slide down a little bit along the vertebrae, excuse me, along the rib cage, down towards the middle of the back. So these muscles are, there's muscles responsible for the scapular movement. Now we're not aware of them, but now I want you to get aware of them. So go slower and focus with your mind's eye. You know that that's what's happening as you rotate the palms and rotate the arms, the shoulder blades going up and down. See if you can feel the muscles that are responsible for contracting and moving the bones. The bones are not moving by themselves. Muscles are moving the bones. So see if you can feel that. And if you need to accentuate to get a little more feeling, you can focus on sliding a little with a little more effort that shoulder blade down towards the mid back, or rotating that shoulder forward to feel the scapula rising. So slow that down and notice feel whatever you can feel. And you might feel a tremendous amount of tension around the scapula. Often the scapula gets pretty stuck in there. So, the rhomboids, the traps, the lats we addressed a bit on the sides, and then the chest too is going to participate. So when you rotate palm down, notice how the chest muscles are going to tighten a little bit in order for that shoulder to roll forward and up towards the ceiling. And you can go ahead and accentuate that. So accentuate the roll of the shoulder up towards the ceiling until you can feel the muscles tightening to make that happen, and then slowly relax that. So there's muscles in the front of the shoulder, in the back of the shoulder, right? There's a lot happening here in order for this to happen. So again, we're just slowing everything down to feel your ability to tense and release. And eventually we want you to see if you can start to bring the awareness in your body so much so that you can actually feel the muscles contracting, and you can control the degree of them tensing, tightening, and also relaxing and lengthening. So this is it within our control. This is motor control. Okay, same principle with the neck and head coming up. Okay, good. So let's do one more each side and then pause. Okay, and then relax your arms relax your arms at about 45 degrees. Uh, okay. So armpits are at about 45 degrees, and just notice you did a body scan. You did a body scan initially, and when you're in the human X, notice how your shoulders feel now. And you can even slide slowly your arms back up to the human X and see if it's a little different, bringing your arms up into the human X. So you created some space in the shoulders. You contracted, relaxed to release some stored tension in the shoulders. I've met one person who had no stress in her body, in her muscular system. It was a 17-year-old surfer girl from Hawaii. And she was just like, simple life, no responsibility, just living in the water, getting mangoes. And in a way, it's kind of ideal, to have no stress, but it's really rare. So most likely you have some stress built up from the way we live our lives in the shoulders, front and back. And we address the sides too a bit. Good. Okay. So let's move into something different. What I'd like you to do is we're going to go for the full spinal floss here. So I'd like you to bring your arms at 45 degrees. You know what? Sorry, bring them to 90 degrees. So armpits are 90 degrees. Your arms outstretched. Like if I was above you, you'd be in a T position. Taking a photo of you, you're in a T from head to arms. And your knees are up and the palms of your feet are on the ground. And I want you to just slowly rotate the legs down to the left as far as they'll go comfortably. So just rotating and twisting. If there's any pain, if there's any pinching, just back right off. If you have some subluxation in the vertebrae, you definitely don't want to overdo this movement because it could make it pinch even more. In a highly subluxated, if your spine is super subluxated, getting an adjustment, these movements will help create space for the spine to align naturally. But sometimes a chiropractic adjustment can be the ticket to just help things get back in place. And then if it's an extreme subluxation, again, if it's mild, the muscle movements that we're doing here will help things adjust as a consequence, as a byproduct of opening the muscles. Because if the muscles are responsible for pulling things out, because they are, unless there's a blunt injury or trauma, still the muscles are participating. So anyway, okay, that's just a note, caution. And then you're going to slowly bring your legs to the other side, to the right side. Same thing, if there's any pain, back off. And if you do have severe subluxation, we can definitely talk, because in some cases, lying on the back is so painful that you can't even do it. In which case, we need to go another route for starters until things are more normalized for you. So again, you're just swinging your knees slowly to the left and to the right, and you're getting a spinal twist. You're getting some spinal rotation for sure, uh, and even up into the mid spine. Okay, so you're getting a lower lumbar rotation of the vertebrae here, um, which is nice. And then you're engaging muscle groups along the vertebrae in the lower lumbar, like we were doing with the neck. Okay, A. B, I want you to start to be aware of the obliques and transverse abdominis. So these guys are responsible for trunk rotation. So as the knees go down to the left, let's say, or the right, let's say they're going to the left, that the lower right quadrant is lengthening and relaxing in order for the knees to fall to the left. Even muscles on the right side of the outer leg and hip are also lengthening a little bit in order for these knees to drop to the left. So I'm just bringing your attention to that. And then what I want you to do is slowly bring the knees back to neutral and just bring your hips to neutral, and then bring your hips to neutral and let the knees follow. And as you do that, you're going to notice, you can kind of control and feel your ability to assist the hips coming back to neutral with those lower right quadrant rotators. And then vice versa, when you drop the knees down to the right side, that lower left quadrant has to lengthen and expand. Again, these are the obliques and the transverse abdominis. Okay, they're going to have to lengthen. Now, often when we're walking, we're rotating, we're swinging our hips and we're rotating our trunk, but we're not aware of the muscle groups that are responsible for that movement. This is getting us in touch with that so we can feel like we have more power as we move, and more agility. If these muscle groups are frozen stiff, like if you're the kind of job, like let's say a pharmacist goes in between the aisles, and a lot of straight lateral, like straight movements where there's not a lot of trunk rotation, but a lot of, just an example of, if you have a job where you're not rotating your trunk, but well, that's maybe not the best example. If you're doing square movements, okay, if you're doing square movements where you're not rotating the trunk, those muscles they'll stay stiff because you don't need to utilize them. But then things will stiffen. The low back will stiffen. So this functional rotation is going to really participate in the lower lumbar contraction, compaction, or vice versa, agility, openness, flexibility. Okay, this is a good example of muscle groups. These frontal lower rotators is a great example of how other muscle groups are participating in the lower lumbar dysfunction. So we treat the lower lumbar by addressing the whole, not just the part, because everything works together. That's the principle behind functional pandiculations. Okay, good. I know we're doing quite a few of these now. Um, and and again, you're training your mind here. You're training you're training your awareness. As you train with me for this hour, in your daily life, you can do less. The idea is to be really, really aware of everything as you with less movement. So you might do one repetition and whip all these movements out in 5 minutes, That's ideal, but we're kind of training our mind from gross to subtle. And this class will help you with that. So, okay, pause there, okay, and then just leave your hips to neutral. And I want to leave your hips at neutral, knees up, palms of feet on the ground, and just a to remind you that when you rotate the hips down to one side and the knees down to one side, when you bring the hips to neutral and let the knees follow, and by focusing on just rotating the hips to neutral, that'll help you feel the engagement of the rotators in the lower part of the trunk. Also, going slow will add weight for those rotators. So going slow is going to help you feel your ability to contract and relax. So instead of feeling victimized by tense muscles, we want to get to where you're like, oh, well, I have the power to release the muscles because I have the power to contract and feel the muscles release. Well, you're only going to feel them release if you can feel them contract, right? So, so good. Okay, so well done there. And let's combine upper and lower half here. So we did the head and the shoulders and arms, right? We got into the shoulders. We did the side of the trunk, uh, but with the human X. And then now we're going to combine the shoulder movements and the palms with the rotation of the arms and palms and shoulders with the knees. Okay, so we're going to get a full spinal rotation happening, not just a passive twist, but rotational. And and we're going to just tie it together. So I call this the human floss, the full floss, or like flossing the spine. It's a term I learned when I was studying these movements. So let's start left palm open, right palm down. And this is going to be your starting position. And rotate your head to the left. So you rotate your head to the left, left palm open, right palm down. Okay, and and then slowly bring your knees down to the right. So rotate slowly your hips to down, your hips and your knees drop down to the right. Now, if you take them all the way to the right as far as they'll go, you're kind of relaxing them in a passive twist. So that's okay, but our purpose is to contract and relax the muscle groups here. So take them until they're taut, so you're not in a full passive twist, and then just start to move. So rotate the left palm down and the right palm goes up. And as the right palm goes up, start to move the head to the right side. So you rotate head to the right side as your right palm goes open, left palm goes down towards the ground, and then while simultaneously moving the hips to neutral. So as the head moves, the hips move. Head moves to neutral, the hips come up to neutral. We want those to be in line. And then the knees and hips will drop to the left and the head will start to move to the right. So we want to smooth this out. Okay, so go through this movement. So the shoulders rotate again. As soon as the head moves, as soon as the head goes from right to neutral, go from hips down to the left and knees down to the left to neutral. Okay, so feel that big movement, and then of course the arms. So the arms start to rotate. The left palm starts to open, and that right palm stays down. And as the hips and knees rotate to the right, your head moves to the left, right? Are you starting to catch this? So we want the hands, your head rotates to whichever direction the palm is moving open. And try to get the same speed of the palms and the shoulders and the arms rotating the same speed as the head, the trunk, and the hips and the knees. Okay. So I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to let you go through Go through like four on each side. Just go for it. Go real slow and stay connected to the feelings. There's a lot going on here, so see if you can capture as much as you can feel. And I'll pipe it. Okay, good. Good. So well done there. All right. Um, okay. So good. Now pause the knees and hips in neutral there and bring your legs down, arms by your side. And I want you to just feel the fruits of your labor. So again, you're in Shavasana, corpse pose, arms by your side, palms open, head relaxed on the ground there, and legs in neutral. And just feel what you feel. So ideally, you might feel that there's more energy flowing. You might feel like a surge of energy tingling, moving. Okay, because you've been releasing stored energy if you have hypertension in the muscles. You might feel a little longer because we've rotated the spine, full spinal rotations. You might notice maybe not full, but we've rotated the spine a good bit. So we've unfrozen muscles along the vertebrae, in charge of rotating the spine and all the vertebrae. Okay, the shoulders have moved. So you should feel like there's some more space. Enjoy that. Enjoy that. And like I said last week, when we start to release stored tension, um, a body is not at rest with hypertension in the muscles. It's just not. It's tensing habitually, even when we quote go to sleep or go to lie down. So as you actually release stored tension, the body actually wants to rest because it hasn't been resting. So that's one of the perks of these movements, and also one of the things to notice because you might want to fall asleep. And I say, if you can, go fall asleep, let your body rest, give it what it needs and wants, and then when you wake up, you'll feel more restored and refreshed, most likely. Um, so sometimes too, you'd be releasing toxins that could be held in the tissue, in the bloodstream. So in that case, drink plenty of water. I recommend Kangen and Magic water. We sell those. We distribute those water machines. They're Japanese medical water machines. Really good for the bloodstream. Um, so the only medical grade water at home water device on the market. So get in touch with me if you want to learn more about those. I can send you more information and get you one. And there's that. And good. So I've talked at you a little bit. So you're getting some lessons if you're new to this, and if you're an oldie but a goodie to this practice, just reminders that doing it every day is going to behoove you because we don't want stress to accumulate in the tissue and start to creep up on us, which it does. I always commend slowing down and doing these movements. Okay, way to go. It's not for the faint of heart. Okay, well done. Now let's move into another movement. I think we'll just do one more and then call it for today. So let's just recap briefly. We did the human X, so functional pandiculations for the sides of the body. You can always accentuate that movement to get more feeling in the sides. You can even play with it. So I'm giving you structure, but you can always go off and technically as much as you can, as many of the muscle groups that you can feel tensing and releasing, the more you're actually managing. So I'm giving you the human X, but you can always accentuate the movement and you know like a crescent moon, you can crescent moon that trunk a little bit more, just a little more engagement to get a little more feeling, and then reach and you can lengthen. So you can contract, you can start to with the human X, you can start to contract and relax, reach, but then also explore lengthening and reaching the sides too, like arcing the sides in both directions, contracting in one direction while lengthening and reaching like a crescent moon. Do you understand what I'm saying? So play with that on your days where you're, on your days of practice, when you lie down to practice. So that's Human X we've done. And then we went into, we did the neck, we did some neck training. And then we did the upper part of the floss. Okay. And then we did the some lower rotator training. And then we combined the two. Okay, and that's a lot. You could stop there, well done, or we can do one more. So I'm gonna show you. We're gonna do a full frontal crunch and release. So this is a good movement because we're actually accessing a lot in one. So if you have it short on time during the week, especially if you're at the desk working, these muscle groups in the front of the jaw and neck and chest and abdomen are contracting to bring the body, to bring the bones forward to work on the computer. Eventually, the muscles get stuck in tension there, and we have a crow's neck. Crow's neck is forward neck head posture, and that's the neck muscles tensing habitually. So, in order to change the habit pattern of the front of the muscles being tight, we need to communicate with the muscles, and we communicate with the muscular system by feeling them do their job, feeling them tensing and feeling them relaxing. They speak that language. I think they also speak other languages too, like the language of body talk. I think the body responds to communicating with the body, even if we're still. I have some experience with that, but more experience with this. Um, okay, so here's the positioning. So bring your knees up and palms of the feet on the ground about hip width. And uh and then go ahead and bring the hands behind the head. Now, if your shoulders are tight, just allow them to rest allow them to rest as far down as they'll go to the floor. Otherwise, just relax the elbows down to the floor, hands behind the head. So you're like hanging out on the beach position, looking at the stars or whatever. And and I want you to first in this position, we start this position with the lower back specifically. So I want you to, well, consider briefly first before we move that when your body is pulling forward habitually by habit pattern, um, the most extreme example is a lady in New York, let's say 90 years old, and her head is fully thrown over and she has a cane her head is popped up like a turtle. That's severe hypertension in the front of the body. So much so that it's hurling her back over, and everyone's saying, oh, it's a spinal problem. But actually, it could be the muscles are so tight in the front of the body, they've just habitually got her pulled over. She sleeps with 9 pillows because she's habitually curled over. I'm sad, right? But Thomas Hanna talks about the story of releasing tension on someone like that until they got to 8 pillows, 7 pillows, 6 pillows by utilizing this biomechanic right here. Okay. Um, so so I want you to first uh, address the lower back. So you're going to imagine the pelvic floor is like a bowl of water. I want you to roll the pelvic floor forward as if you're spilling water through your legs. And and as you do that, notice how the low back contracts, and you're going to feel you do it slowly. And as you do that, you're going to start to feel muscles tightening and contracting in order to make that movement happen, this contracting of the lower back. And it's consequently a compression. Um, yes, a compression of the spine, right? So the spine compresses, and the muscles tightening, and then relax the muscles that are tightening and let the back fall to neutral. Okay. So that's the first part of this full frontal crunch. So you're contracting, arcing the lower back until you can feel muscles tightening the lower back, and then slowly relaxing what you can feel tensing. Pay attention to that's the power. That's going to get you the results. If the cause of your pain is from hypertension in the muscles over years and years and years of unmanaged muscles, your ability to feel and then feel your ability to relax out of a state of contracting is the ticket for you, for the ticket for us as humans to start to unwind all this stuff, right? So when that lower back relaxes fully after you exhale, look, we haven't started doing the breath. You can start to integrate the breath, but I'm actually not, don't worry about that right now. But you could, well, okay, you could, I should have prefaced this. Inhale, filling the lower back, inhale, filling the lower belly, arcing the low back, kind of a natural, it's a natural way to do it. So you're filling the belly and then rotating the pelvic floor forward, feeling the muscles in the lower back tighten, arcing, relax the muscles of the lower back, let the bones fall to the ground. Okay, that's the first part of this. The second part is after those lower back muscles are relaxed from after contracting in that arcing you just did, I want you to do the opposite action. You're going to slowly roll the low back into the ground. So you're going to press slowly the lower back into the ground, gently, until you can feel tensing in the stomach muscles. And I want you to tense the stomach muscles a little bit, shorten them to bring the pelvic floor tilt up towards the ceiling just a little bit. Okay. And that engages that contraction of the stomach muscles. Now, as you do that, slowly bring the elbows up to neutral, hands behind the head, elbows up towards the midline, and then I want you to bring your shoulders, head, and arms up a few inches and sink right into right in the middle of the trunk. I want you to sink right down into that. So you're contracting all the muscles from the lower abdomen all the way up to underneath the jaw and the chest and abs, middle of the abs, chest, right? And then slowly relax the muscles down. Relax the muscles. Let the pelvic floor come to neutral. Let the shoulders fall back down to the ground. And let the head come back. And then relax the arms out. Relax the elbows out again. And just make sure everything's relaxed in the front. Take a breath cycle in and out. Okay. So here you're pandiculating the lower back muscles along the spine, the lower lumbar spine, the rectors, namely. And then you're relaxing the low back muscles, you pendiculate those. And then by flattening the stomach, by flattening the back, you have to relax the back muscles in order for the back to flatten, the low back curve to flatten, and then the stomach muscles tighten. Slight pelvic lift towards, like slight pelvic tilt. The pelvis tilts towards the ceiling a little bit as you tighten the lower stomach muscles. And then elbows come up, head comes up, shoulders come up, feel everything contract. So it's like a classical kind of crunch, but the purpose isn't to strength train, it's to feel your ability to contract and feel all those muscles and then feel your ability to slowly release them. Okay, so just do 3 of those. And if it's choppy, that's okay. It just means that we don't have a lot of motor control on the front of the body here, and we need to practice. The slower you go, the more strong you're going to get, but also, well, you're utilizing the muscles that are already there. If it's choppy, it just means that they're underutilized, essentially. Yeah. So again, you're contracting the low back first, and relaxing, flattening, tightening the stomach muscles, and then elbows come up, head, shoulders come up. Feel the muscle with eyes closed. You can feel the muscles under the neck, chest, abdomen, lower front. The more you do this, the more you'll be able to feel. Okay. And pause after that last one. I'll stop talking for a moment. So finish up nice and slow. Good. And then with your pause, with your elbows on the ground, hands behind the head, and just take a few breaths and see if you feel more length and space in the front of the body, which is huge because this is like, this is opening the muscles for the organs of elimination, the digestive organs, your intestines, the colon, the bladder. We want to make sure the muscles aren't so tight in the front that are compressing space, compressing and minimizing space for the organs to breathe and function. Okay, so that's That's one perk of doing this is you're opening up space for the organs in the front of the body to have space to circulate and do their job. So it'll help with sluggishness, which is going to help circulation, which is going to help your health and energy as a consequence of doing working the muscular system or making sure the muscular system isn't hyper tight in the front, hyper contracted. Okay, good. Uh, well done. Bring your arms by your side, legs down, and take a few final breath cycles. Celebrating your work today. Good training. Stress and violence go hand in hand. Stress and at its most extreme, and let's say irritation is like low level violence. If you think of it like that, you're creating by releasing irritation in the body from tension, you're increasing peace in your body. So you're also affecting your environment by doing these movements. So consider it an act of service to yourself and the environment around you to create calm in your body on a somatic level, at a cellular level, at a muscle belly level with these very natural movements that you're practicing. So well done, and enjoy the fruits of your labor. I suggest spending another minute and two just doing a body scan and enjoying your feelings. And if you have some pain still, notice that. And if it's muscular, just keep practicing and it'll unwind in time. As long as you're not, we're striving for balance. It's tense activity is great, and also slow and fast. We want to balance slow and fast, hard and soft. So you're doing that here. Well done, and have a great rest of your day.